Hello, I'm NBG and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be pretty straightforward. I've been asked about add-ons and other things on and off from different people, whether popping into the Discord or otherwise. I'm just like, what are you using? Are you using TSM? Are you using Auctionator? Like, how does that work? Why are you able to move that and I can't? You know, things of that nature. So I figured I would just go ahead and throw together a video of the add-ons that I'm using currently in Dragonflight. Now, this is by no means a UI video, because, well, my UI is awful. However, this is a list of the add-ons I use, and I will go into very brief detail on why I use them, or just what I use them for. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to talk about the most obvious add-ons first. And to me, as a gold maker, that's going to be TSM and Auctionator. What do I use and why? Well, I think most people are used to using TSM for the longest time, including myself. But just a brief rundown, I used to use like TSM specifically for like the task list, and I would have it set up to, you know, autofill things to where like, oh, if a legendary was sold, you need to remake this one, you need to remake that one, if there's this much profit, things of that nature. And it was fairly automated, and I could just boom, get my crafting, you know, like get my list of materials that I need, buy it, use TSM to use the mailing functions, send out all the resources to different characters, make it, use the mailing system to send everything back to my bank vault to sell, so on and so forth. That's the way I've been doing it for years. It works beautifully. However, not so much in Dragonflight. Now, I will say that I'm not entirely sure if that's still the case, but I'm not able to use TSM the way that I used to, at least last time I checked, to be honest. So I've kind of fallen away from TSM. I actually don't use it very much. What do I use TSM for? To be quite honest, I use it for, well, accounting. I use it for data. I use it for tracking information, whether it's just, you know, typical market value, or how much I've purchased, or how much I've sold, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I use it as well for, like, you know, just general player gold data, things of that nature. That's honestly all I use TSM for. I actually don't even do my posting or canceling with TSM anymore. Now, the reason I stopped doing that was because it was just god-awful slow there for quite some time, and I just couldn't handle it. I could do it faster with either Auctionator or just doing it manually. It was driving me crazy, so I kind of just slowly moved away from it. I do need to pick it up again and maybe start using it the way I used to and see if it's, you know, plausible. But one of the issues that it was having was like differentiating like the tiers of items. Like, I don't know, even just look at what's right here, resilient 2 to 3 to 1 and whatnot. It's just, with the changes this expansion, it just didn't work quite as well. So I actually use a lot of Auctionator, but to be honest, I don't even post with Auctionator. I mostly use Auctionator to run my undercut scans. Why is that? Honestly, it's just what I felt comfortable with. So I primarily that, and I can kind of just see, and then like just all I have to do is click on the item that I want to cancel. You know, I might be like, oh no, I don't want to actually cancel that, you know, so I don't have to, kind of thing. I like Auctionator for canceling, and I just mostly use TSM for data. When I am posting, I am honestly primarily using normal Blizzard UI for almost all my posting. I don't automate it in any way. Everything is myself, you know. I don't just go through and spam click, you know, post based on, you know, what I tell TSM to post things at. I do everything manually. Now, that could be annoying, I guess, for some, but at least this expansion, that's just the way that I've done things. I would like to go back to the old way, though, if I'm quite honest, but I use TSM and Auctionator. TSM for mostly data and the mailing system and things of that nature, and I use Auctionator mostly for cancel scanning, and I post things myself using the Blizzard UI. Let's go ahead and add another add-on to this list, and that would be Craftsim. I'm sure a lot of you have seen videos on it, maybe you've seen my video on it. I use Craftsim a lot. Rather than TSM telling me, hey, This is a value you can craft and go create it. I kind of have to go manually look, and I use Craftsim. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. So with Craftsim, which you see down here in the corner showing like average profit, let's take something like Fang Adornments. So you will see like an average per craft profit of right here, right? Of like right now it's saying 448. In other words, these are pretty good right now. However, there is some issues with Craftsim and other things like that. I'll go ahead and show you what I do to just like kind of verify if something's worth. I run a search. I search it on the auction house. And then after I search it, like let's say I'm clicked on it. If I click off, you see it's 448. I click off and click back on, and it will adjust the price to what it should be after your most recent search. So that's what I do. So like let's say, I don't know, let's find one that's negative and maybe boost it into positive. I don't know, Toxified Armor Patches are 169. Let's say I'm still considering making them. I might run a search and then click back over. And look, now they're even worse. They're actually 221 right now. So that is what I do in order to search and like verify if there's profits, which kind of goes back to how I basically need to sit on the auction house to get like actual real like right now data. And that's one of the other things that I fall behind with on like TSM. You know, it's too important to have data. Like right now, you need data for right this second, because anything I'm going to do, I'm not, you know, in the old days, I used to do these big stocks and hold on to them and sell them at a later date or whatever the case may be. The market is so volatile. If I'm going to craft, I'm going to make it, buy it now, I'm going to make it now, and I'm going to sell it now. Why? I know there's profit. That's how I do it. So for instance, if I want to make any of these scales or something, I'm going to come over here and I am going to manually search. And when I manually search, I'm then, you know, double checking in Craftsim, which is taking my multi-craft and all that kind of stuff into consideration. Obviously, if you have other tools and stuff, you can set it to top profit or top inspiration or, you know, whatever you want. And it should show you other tools that you can put in there. Granted, I don't know why it didn't change when I... Oh, simulate top gear. You know, there's that. Simulate top gear. I actually don't know why that's not working the way it usually does. Anyway, long story short, this is Craftsim, and that's kind of what I use to judge on if I'm going to craft something or not. If there's enough profit here per craft, I will usually go ahead and do it. Keep in mind that Craftsim typically, like let's say on an item like Earthshine Scales, it is judging it based off of like not just going out and crafting one time, but like the average after who knows how many crafts. I don't know if it's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. I have no idea what numbers they actually use to like really pull the average. But in general, it's talking about the average if you did a lot of crafts. So if I did something like this, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do like 100 crafts, right? Like I'm not going to go out there and just do 10. There's a likelihood or a chance that I could either not make my gold, you know, because of lack of procs or whatever the case may be. Technically, there's also a chance I can make more if I have good procs, but you know what I mean? So, that's essentially what I use Craftsim for. In combination with all these, as you've probably seen, I use two other add-ons called BlizzMove and Demodal. What this allows me to do is BlizzMove allows you to take like a standard Blizzard frame like this, and instead of it being locked in a position, well, I can move it, you know? On top of that, I can have numerous things up at the same time. I can have numerous things up and I can move them around, and it just makes it's just helpful, right? I mean, you can see how it's helpful to be able to move these things, resize them, and then like demodal and everything. I can hold control and like scroll, and I can actually resize things as well. So that's the primary reason why I use both BlizzMove and Demodal, which comes in really handy when you're searching on the auction house. This is also what allows me to have my crafting profession open at the same time. And with this crafting profession open at the same time, that is also what is allowing me to use this search function. This search function I do believe is coming from Auctionator. So because of this search function from Auctionator, as well as, you know, having Demodal and BlizzMove and whatnot, I can click on have the auction house open, go ahead and click on my leatherworking profession, and I can go ahead and search an item, boom, and then it's using the shopping function and searching right here just like that. And again, I almost always have to click off, click back on to kind of get more of the real up-to-date exact prices. So that's the combination that I use. BlizzMove and Demodal allows you to move your frames, allows you to resize them, and more importantly, allows me to have my crafting profession open at the same time. Another thing to note, the to craft down here, which I do get asked about, I think a lot of people have finally figured it out, but I do believe that's also from Auctionator. So that gives me a relative idea. Craftsim kind of can confirm it on whether something's worth the craft, and then I use the search function, all again because of Auctionator, to allow myself to search an item and then try to justify if it's worth the time. When I'm crafting something, I'll also mention here that not just am I going, oh, 195 per craft, that's awesome, let me go make them. I'm considering the time of day. Like, I have today off, so like right now it's about 9 a.m. in the morning. Do I really, and I already talked about how if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be pushing it on the auction house immediately, because prices change so much that whatever I make, I want it to sell ASAP, really? Do I really want to sit on the auction house and push sales of X item, doesn't matter what it is, or shine in this instance, at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning? Right? Typically, I don't want to do that. I much prefer to sell in prime time, just because there's more people buying, there's more people selling. It's a little bit easier to get your stuff out the door at profit. So usually, unless something just looks really, really good, which to be honest, right now the combination of, let's let it do its search. Right now the combination of Fang Adornments and Earthshine do look pretty profitable right now, but then the next question is, you know, how many people are buying Fang Adornments at 9 a.m. on a Monday? So if I have any competition really at all who's sitting here cancel scanning, it might be really difficult to net some sales. Plus, this is an item I also know that's dropped down to like 1900 as of yesterday, and it's just been, you know, it's raised back up, it's been reset. So anyway, a lot of things to consider when I'm looking at what to craft, but I'm getting off topic. BlizzMove, Demodal, allows you to move your frames, allows you to resize them, allows you to have your profession open at the same time as the auction house, and allows you to use this fancy search function. Well, that's from Auctionator, but you get the idea. I'm going to add this one in here because I think it's pretty much integral for most WoW players, and that's Leatrix Plus. If you don't know, Leatrix Plus has a whole bunch of things that you can do, like, you know, muting specific sounds, like muting mount sounds, you know? Some of those stupid dragons, you know, maybe that's worth pushing that button for you. But what I primarily use Leatrix Plus for, as I think most people do, is I use it for faster auto loot, I use it for max camera zoom, and then I usually use it for like selling junk and repairing automatically. There's a whole bunch of really cool things in here, so don't sleep on Leatrix Plus if you don't already use it. There's actually a lot of really cool things in here, so, you know, click on what you want, click off what you don't, but that is what I use for those functions. The one I really can't live without is Weakauras. I've always known how good Weakauras are, but I kind of never wanted to deal with them too much, so I never ran too many. But now I kind of run a lot of Weakauras. Now, I'll quickly just talk about maybe a few of the ones that stand out to me. If you're talking gold making, the primary one, which you've seen I've done like everything on this character, maybe I can switch over and show it on another character. But up here in the left-hand corner, as you can see, it'll tell me if I'm missing any of the books. So I can get, if I go out and scan, I can get 5 books on this character that would, you know, then allow me to increase my skill in skinning. Let me jump to another character to show that off. Alright, so here's like the only character I don't have 70, as well as the only character I haven't done anything on this week. If you can see up in the corner, hopefully you can see that, but as you see, it shows me my dirt piles, which again, I've made a video on this. Everybody should probably know about this one by now. It's just, it's a Weakaura that allows me to track the, you know, the things that aren't just knowable in game. Like for instance, you get the quests each week to, you know, actually I think I have profession quests on this character right now. Like, you know, profession quests and things of that nature, your crafting order quests, all that kind of stuff depending on what your profession is. All that stuff you know about. These are the things that are not trackable. So I use a Weakaura for it. So like being able to get to, you know, get skill points from looting them from dirt piles. As you've seen, I've gotten 1 for jewel crafting on this character. I have not gotten any for blacksmithing. But then it also tells me the mobs not the exact mobs, but like I can get the primeval earth fragment. I can get that, kill rousing earth enemies for blacksmithing. So anything that drops a rousing earth, I can kill those and get that fragment. Once I got that, that one will go away. That's one skill point for blacksmithing. You see the incandescent curio, right? That one's elemental enemies. That'll drop one for jewel crafting. And then, like, if I've gotten my treaties on the character this week and I have not on this character. So there's that Weakaura. The other Weakaura I will, I guess, talk about since I'm sitting here is, let's see, yeah, the weekly profession knowledge. No, not the weekly profession knowledge. The, Tamis, Dragonflight helper. That's this one over here in the corner. And that essentially tracks whether my character has done, like, basically the weekly content. So aiding the Accord, Community Feast, the Siege, Grand Hunts, Trials, a Flood, Trial of Elements. So it tracks those, and then I can see my Renown, which I think you all know I don't really care about Renown. It's not something I've pushed. Really need to, but I just, too much other stuff to do. I just don't feel like it. But anyway, tracks my Renown, tracks that kind of stuff. And then probably the thing I use it most for is keeping tabs on when the Feast and the Siege is up. Because then I can look over and be like, oh, cool, there's a, feast in 5 minutes, and I can get ready to go out there and do that. Because if you're just chilling in game, usually you don't really know if I'm up here just questing, it might be hard to know if the feast is going on, and maybe I should jump on my main and bring it down there if I haven't gotten it done this week. So that's probably the thing I use it the most for, is to know if I've done it, and using it to track the feast and the siege primarily. It will also show both waypoints as well as like the different super rares, right? And I do believe they just go away if you've done it on that character. I mean, that was a pretty big thing. I haven't really gone after super rares a lot in a long time. Like, I don't think I need that functionality at the moment, but it is there if it's something you want to track and keep up on. So anyway, that Weakaura, those two Weakauras are the ones I probably use, well, the most, and that's why they're just constantly there. So I constantly have that information available. Still on the topic of Weakauras, I use a lot of different Weakauras now, as you can see. And the ones I would just like point out, like one, I've made a few myself, and then like as you can see on my cursor, I have a cursor one now, and that's for like when I'm in combat, just to know where my cursor is, because for some reason, as I'm getting older, I'm having a terrible time keeping track of my cursor, specifically when I'm in combat. Like if I want to, I don't know, the first thing that comes to my mind is like the feast, right? Like I'm out there doing that, and there's just so many people and so much going on, and I want to do something or click on something. It takes me forever to locate my cursor. I can even like move my cursor in the middle of the screen, or move it somewhere where I think is middle, and just like not move and be like, okay, where is it at? And I just can't find it. So I decided I needed something to help me keep track of my cursor a little bit more. So this is what I'm actually trying out. I haven't really got to use it a lot in like Mythic Plus or anything to like see if it annoys me, but I'm using a little green circle that only shows up when I am in combat to help me find my cursor, right? Other than that, I made a couple myself. Like I made a shield block tracker for my prot warrior. I use, I think a lot of people use this, but the Weakaura down here for flight, right? To track your vigor and track all that kind of stuff. I just think it works so much better than the Blizzard UI. Tracking your speed and pitch and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I've been using that since the start, and I enjoy it a lot more than the Blizzard UI. So there's that Weakaura. What else do we got to quickly show? I made one for Freezing Rain. I made one for, for Mage. I made one for like Fodder to the Flame. I made an Ignore Pain tracker, just to make sure that I have those, make sure those buffs pop up for me when I go ahead and use them, so I can, track that stuff a little bit better. I was using a lot of like, Luxthos and a lot of people use those, whether it's Luxthos or Afnar or any of those great packages. Some of them I use, some of them I actually don't, because I just don't feel like I need the information, so it really kind of depends on the character. Let's see, oh yeah, that tracks my momentum buff, like if I'm on a Demon Hunter, to see, you know, if I have that buff up. That way I can track if I have both momentum and fodder up. I know I can do big burst at that point. Let's see. And then other things is, I think a lot of people, if you're into Mythic Plus, having your affix, for thundering, so that you can track that a little bit better. That's my Apex Predator. I use also one for Dragonflight dungeons to let me know when AoE is coming in, to let me know when, you know, to avoid something, to spread, to, you know, whatever the case may be. I find that helpful. Let's see, anything else I should probably point out? Oh, I use like a Mythic Plus auto marker just to help mark targets, and I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, Weakauras, I actually use them a lot more. I'm actually kind of always looking to see if there's other things I want to incorporate, because I think Weakauras might just be the strongest add-on in the game for sure, just given what you can do with it. It's kind of OP, so either like it or you don't, but I'm starting to really like it, that's for sure. I think the last add-on set that I would say is kind of integral to me in Dragonflight would be Handynotes Dragonflight. There's multiple different Handynotes. I specifically use this one for a couple reasons. I used to use, or kind of still do, a combination with a different Handynotes because I liked the way it marked something else a little bit better. But I'll show that off with SilverDragon. So if you don't know, SilverDragon is a tracker that, you know, will basically notify you of rare mobs and things of that nature. It's not actually what I use it for. I can't remember everything I've clicked, but I pretty much ignore like the standard Dragonflight mobs. I ignore that stuff. I don't want it to pop up with every dang mob that shows up. It essentially only pops up for, I think, super rares, as well as I have it pop up for like treasures and things of that nature. This thing has some of the most obnoxious sounds in the entire game. So I have a lot of sounds and stuff turned off as well. But what do I actually use that with? I use it in combination with Handynotes, as you can see here, because it'll kind of mark where like disturbed dirt and whatnot is. I don't think I need this anymore now that I kind of know each zone that I go into and I kind of have a route if I'm looking for said, you know, dirt or treasures. I kind of do the same routes all the time now when I do have to look for them, so it's not that big of a deal anymore. But when I was first trying to figure out where the heck that stuff was, I found it extremely helpful. So it's really a combination of those. So let me go out here and see if I can't quickly get it to pop up, because with the SilverDragon, it'll pop up, and I have it popping up over here in the corner to where if I'm near one that's lootable like that, right, it will pop up and be like, whoa, you're near disturbed dirt, go ahead and grab it. And then if you can see on my mini map, as I'm not the best flyer, all I do is I look at my mini map and I see which one has like the arrow down. I'm like, oh, that's the one that's available. So I'll pop down. Here it is. Here's the disturbed dirt. Right? Let me go back up so you can see that little arrow. See that little arrow? That's how I know, oh, that's the one that's available. I pop down and I can grab it. I can right click to get that to go away. And I continue on my way. And I continue on my way and I hope for other disturbed dirt. Oh, there's another disturbed dirt. Looks like this one over here is available. You know? And then I will lie down and hit a wall and, you know, like everybody else, not be able to find what the heck I was looking for. Oh, there it is. Boom. There's that as well. So, anyway, that's the combination I use to help me better track the all of the like the treasures and things of that nature. And again, that's important for me as a gold maker, because I mean, that's skill points, man. That's skill points, and I try to get them on every character that matters to me whatsoever. I want my skill points, so I unfortunately have to go out here and I kind of run a loop this way. I run a loop here, and if there's really no drops, you know, if I can't find any in Anaran Plains, I'll usually fly out and do basically what's like a figure 8 out in Waking Shores, where, you know, I might I might loop in here, you know, loop this way, kind of loop around and come back. And then Thaldraszus is actually pretty good for finding treasures. I really suck with the verticality, and sometimes it just frustrates me more than anything. Even though, especially down in this area, like a lot of times you can find treasures relatively easily in terms of them being available, but then me actually physically finding them is another story, as you just saw even with those easy ones that I seem to get lost on. So that's the combination I use. That is a combination of slight changes to SilverDragon, as well as Handynotes Dragonflight to let me know where that kind of stuff is. I also use, it doesn't matter to me anymore, but I used a different Handynotes to track profession treasures because they seemed to just, they were easier for me to see. That way if I jumped on a new character, I could, you know, pick them up. We are now at the point that I have everything basically leveled. I have everything grabbed. I really don't need that information now, so it's less useful to me. But when I was first starting out, I was working on characters, and I was working on progressing professions, Handynotes to show the profession treasures as well as the masters and stuff like that where they were at was obviously exceptionally helpful. So I could just fly to the point, get the item, move on with my life. So anyway, I think that just about covers the add-ons I'm using. Not too many, really. And there you have it. That's the add-ons, the list of add-ons, and why, you know, what I'm using in Dragonflight. Hopefully you got something new. My guess is a lot of you didn't. Maybe you didn't know about, you know, the combination between BlizzMove, Demodal, or Auctionator to get the price, you know, on your crafting profession when you're looking at stuff. But really, I don't use a whole lot, and there's not almost any automation, specifically through like creating operations and stuff through TSM. That didn't work early, and it just was busted, and it just didn't work. So I've kind of moved on from that. I'm really hoping I can go back to the old days of automating that kind of stuff to the most part after I set, you know, the parameters that I would like. I hope I can start doing that, but right now everything's kind of working the way that it should, because most of my characters are doing their own crafting and their own selling. And I almost always have to sit on the auction house to sell for the most part. Some items I don't, but a lot of them I do. So there's usually not too much of a point in having to like move everything around. But anyway, that's just a list of what I use and why. So hopefully you got something out of this. If not, it's all good. But I just want to give a quick thank you to our supporters. Thank you very much. You all are very kind. Thanks for showing up on live stream and hanging out. Been, you know, people popping into Discord, so on and so forth. By the way, Discord's down in the description below. Feel free. We don't bite hard anyway. You're welcome to pop in here, ask questions, hang out, whatever you want. We've been running a ton of Mythic Plus and doing things of that nature. It's been a lot of fun. Other than that, hopefully I can start finding you guys some new information or other things that I'm crafting, but honestly right now I'm very much still doing the same old, I guess you can call it, meaning I'm just keeping up on my profession skill. You know, I'm keeping up on my skill, I'm keeping up on the quest for the skill points. I'm doing that on all of my characters. I'm just trying to stay as up to date as possible, and nothing for me yet has popped in to be like just this new gold making method. I'm close to a couple that would be new for me, and then once I can start making good profits on those, I'll be sure to share. But for the most part, it's the same stuff I've been crafting and doing this whole time. It's still the things that I'm selling, and luckily for me, I haven't really had to push sells very often. You know, I really, if something's super viable to craft and to post for profit, right, then I will do that typically in prime times. Other than that, I'm doing other stuff. I think an awful lot of my time is spent doing world, like general profession quests and all those side things from the Weakaura that we saw. I spend so much time doing that over anything else in the game. Then there's an awful lot of Mythic Plus, and then the rest of it is, you know, crafting, posting, selling. But it is what it is. So anyway, hopefully I will have some fun stuff or interesting stuff to share with my weekly wrap-up video here in a couple days. But other than that, I just want to thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see. Let me know what I can do better. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.